Kids teacher said we're raising a future failure. She lost her teaching license. My daughter Zoe was in third grade at an elementary school we chose for its great ratings and small class sizes. She'd been doing great in first and second grade, mostly A's and B's, active in class, making friends, no issues at all, and she genuinely loved school. Then she got Mrs. Hoffman, and everything changed. The first week, Zoe came home crying because Mrs. Hoffman yelled at her for coloring the sun yellow instead of orange on a science worksheet. She said the sun was obviously orange at sunset and Zoe wasn't paying attention. The next week, Zoe got in trouble for reading ahead during reading circle. Mrs. Hoffman said she was showing off and making other kids feel bad. After that, it was constant little things. Zoe started getting anxious about school, second-guessing herself and asking if she was doing things wrong. She went from loving school to dreading it in just a few weeks. Then came parent-teacher conferences in October. My husband Paul and I expected normal feedback. Instead, Mrs. Hoffman spent the entire meeting criticizing our parenting. She said Zoe was too confident because we praised her for nothing, behind in math because we didn't drill her enough, and sloppy because we let her use devices too much. When Paul mentioned Zoe's past good reports, Mrs. Hoffman laughed and said her previous teachers were probably just being nice because they felt sorry for us. Then she looked us straight in the eye and said we were failing Zoe as parents and that she'd never succeed with our approach. She suggested hiring a tutor immediately or even holding her back. We left that meeting stunned and honestly pretty shaken. Talking to other parents, we realized this wasn't just us. At least 6 families had similar stories. One mom was told she shouldn't have had kids if she couldn't afford tutoring. Another dad was told his son might have developmental issues over something trivial. But no one reported her. She'd been there 15 years, and her husband was on the school board, so people were intimidated and didn't want trouble. In November, she said Zoe needed testing for learning disabilities. A specialist told us Zoe was completely normal, actually above average in most areas. Mrs. Hoffman responded that the doctor was wrong and that we were in denial. Then she started a parent improvement program. Every Friday, Zoe brought home articles about bad parenting, titles like, "Are you raising a future failure?" with sections highlighted and our names written in the margins. We were required to sign and return them. Paul refused. Not long after, Zoe even got detention over a homework issue that didn't make sense, which just added to the stress and confusion for her. The breaking point came when she scheduled a private meeting about Zoe's future and brought her husband, who wasn't even school staff. They sat us down like it was an intervention. They told us we needed parenting classes, marriage counseling, and maybe someone else should raise Zoe if we couldn't step up. Her husband even suggested his sister could tutor Zoe full-time for $2,000 a month. That's when it clicked. This wasn't just a strict teacher, it was a setup. We dug into her background and found she hadn't completed her certification renewals and had been falsifying credentials. She was also running a tutoring business after school, charging the same parents whose kids she claimed were failing. We reported everything. The investigation found she'd been lowering student grades before conferences, then improving them after parents paid for tutoring, over 40 families affected. Some parents even shared grade reports that suddenly jumped after they agreed to extra help. Her license was revoked immediately. Her husband was removed from the school board after it came out he'd been taking kickbacks tied to the tutoring referrals. Afterward, she showed up at our house screaming that we ruined her career because we couldn't handle the truth about our parenting. Paul called the police, and she was arrested for trespassing and harassment. The school replaced her with a new teacher, who told us Zoe was doing great and couldn't understand the previous reports. Zoe finished the year with straight A's and won a reading award. Funny how we were failing as parents, but the second she got a real teacher, she thrived.